Well, hello! Mwah, 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 mwah. Welcome to the Magical Mystery School, Astrology Lesson 8. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Well, I talked to you about the mechanics of how the chart works and the rising sign, but I didn't really go into details about how that rising sign, what are some of the descriptions, attributes to those. Because the rising sign is who people meet when they first bump into you or see you across the room, or that's their first idea about who you are. So I want to go over that in just a little bit more detail. And I think I'll bring the camera down to go through it using some pictures. And just to let you know, I love this calendar, the Llewellyn calendar. And I did use a different calendar for a while, but this one is still really great. It shows you when the moon changes signs. You remember it only stays 2.5 days in a sign, and the different aspects. So you might want to think about getting something like that. Okay, I'm going to put you on pause for a second. Okay, so here's our 12 signs, and I just cut this off the back of that calendar. But I thought it'd be cool to get some visual images of what we're talking about here. And we're going to start here with Aries, because we got January, February, March, April. But Aries, remember, it always goes into, the sun goes into Aries about the 20th or so of March. And then the sun goes into Taurus about the 20th or so of April, etc., etc. So Aries, now Aries it rules the head. Just remember, we start at the head, and Pisces rules the feet. So we're going to go all the way down through the body in order. And you can see from this picture, we can see the ram and the red color, the boldness of it. Just remember, an Aries person, when they walk into the room, they're actually leading with their chin. You'll see them, they're poking out their chins, kind of. It's sort of funny. But they are very, very brave. Life is an adventure to them. They're very decisive. I mean, some of, the Geminis down here, well, should we do this? Should we do that? Not in Aries. They know exactly what they want to do, and they go for it. Let's see. The downside of that, sometimes they can be a little bit on the pushy side, and they've got it figured out, but, at least they're confident they know what they're doing. Now, Taurus, the bull, and you can see the bull in the background here, standing out in his pasture. Typically very gentle people in the rising sign with Taurus. And of course, I should say, anybody who has these sun signs, there will also be some truth to that. And when you get further along in your astrology, when you start seeing like a cluster of planets in Taurus, but the person may be a totally different sign, but that Taurus energy is so strong in their chart that it'll start coming through. So the men tend to be very stocky, even have a very thick bull-like neck. The women, oddly enough, will tend to have more of a thin swan-like neck. But again, very gentle. They love their security. They love to have a full fridge. Remember, this is fixed earth. Can be a little stubborn. They like to have their comfort elements around them. Okay, Gemini. Now these, like I said, these are the talkers of the zodiac. And why? Because both of them are talking to each other constantly. Well, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? So they're interesting that way. They can be very persuasive, but they're also extremely quick-witted. One of the things physically they have is a twinkle in their eye. Gemini rising always tends to kind of be thinking up something fun and clever to do. Very intellectual. And oddly enough, Gemini's also kind of the teenager, the young person of the zodiac, and they'll actually have a very youthful appearance to them. A very, like, I have a girlfriend, she's very, feminine person, but she actually has a kind of a boyish look to her, very, very short hair and that sort of thing. But she's true to her Gemini rising. And this rules the shoulder areas. Okay, Cancer. Now, Cancer, of course, ruled by the moon. And I think I mentioned this before. They tend to, we're talking about the chest area here. They're ruling the chest. So the women are usually Cancer risings, fairly endowed. The men also have fairly big barrel, can be seen to have barrel chests. So they have that kind of that apple shape. Again, the Cancer rising, you're going to find them in the kitchen. So here you always find earth and water kind of complementary to each other. So Taurus wants to have that food in the kitchen, and Cancer loves to cook that food and make it home for everybody. Leo, our ruler, the sun sign, ruled by the sun. Leo, the lion, they actually do have a very noble, regal bearing when they walk in the room. They tend to have very good posture. Interestingly enough, they are head turners. You'll notice a Leo when they walk in the room. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, both of them were sun sign Leos. And then George Bush, and who was that last guy? Number 45 with the yellow mane? He was a Leo rising. So both of those guys were Leo rising. I thought that was funny when I saw that. So they can be, they're a lot of fun. They rule the heart and the spine, because they do have, there's another one that has a lot of bravery to them too. Okay, moving on down to Virgo. And Virgo is, kind of our detail, very oriented, can be a little bit on the critical side. They like everything lined up in order and correctly. But Virgo risings are also known for being the opposite of that. And I heard about this, that some people who are such perfectionists and want everything in the correct place, sometimes they can actually be slobs, because if they don't have the exact right place to put it, to file it away, then they won't file it anywhere. It just becomes a pile in the corner, right? So watch out that they can be very much neatniks, or the total opposite. Let's see. This rules, we're getting down into like the intestines and sort of down in the abdomen area for Virgo. So they can sometimes have delicate digestive systems. So watch out for that. They can't eat everything like the Taurus here. Then we have Libra, and I think I've mentioned ruled by Venus. Very beautiful sign. Oftentimes, rising sign, you'll see them with a little dimple in their chin or on their cheek there. Very fine features. But Libras, they actually get disturbed when people aren't getting along. They want everybody to have harmonious relationships, that type of thing. So they tend to be very cooperative, and they want everybody to be cooperative. They rule the adrenal glands, the kidneys, two of each, right? And Libra, remember they're the partnership, so they like twos, and they and they also rule the internal sex organs, so like the ovaries and things like that. Now moving on to Scorpio, who rules the external sexual organs, and I'll let you guys figure that out yourself. This one, Scorpio, you may not even notice them walking in the room. They're very quiet. The big thing you will notice about a Scorpio, though, is their piercing gaze. When they look at you, you feel like they're looking straight down into your soul, right? They are just going into it. Seriously. Well, that's, the god of Hades, right? Um, so they can be fairly guarded. They don't become your friend like, the first minute they meet you, kind of more like a Gemini here, there, or a Libra. It may take quite a bit to get down into that dark, into the insides of them, into what they are holding close. But this is also the kind of sign too, fixed water. Boy, when they decide to do something, they can get energy out of nowhere. They're the one, everybody else is exhausted and sneaking off home on a volunteer project. The Scorpio stays there and finishes it. Okay, Sagittarius. And I thought this was cool because the Native American totem for Sag is elk. So here we've got the warrior or hunter. They're more of a hunter than a warrior. Shooting his arrow off the back of the stag there. And the Sag, you'll know them. They've always got a smile on their face. They like to crack stupid jokes. They're cheerful. They love all things foreign. They want to go places, see things. They're very, very generous, very trusting, just the opposite of Scorpio there. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of the mythology things is that Scorpio bit and killed Sag's mate. So that's why Sag is following Scorpio along the elliptic. He's trying to hunt him down, basically. But Sages, they have big plans, goals. This rules the thighs. So sometimes you'll see people with fairly larger thighs, that kind of thing. Sometimes that cheerfulness can almost get into being a little obnoxious. So sometimes you just have to kind of turn them off and say, I think it's time for you to go to your happy place by yourself. Okay, then we get back up here to Capricorn, coming in here at the winter solstice, Earth, cardinal sign. This one doesn't have the greatest posture. I mean, I think that they're climbing that mountain and it's getting, they take on a lot of responsibility, duty. They can even have downcast eyes when you meet them. And they tend to, oddly enough, have kind of a little, sometimes they have like a little bump in their nose. So that may be part of the goat. And also that bump that's right here on your wrist. They tend to have little bumps on there. That tends to be accentuated. Let's go back and show you that bump on the wrist there. That tends to be accentuated. Okay. Now, the cool thing though about Capricorns, even though they have their discipline, they're hard workers, they're patient, they always want to have a purpose, and they're very serious. The cool thing though about Capricorns is it's like they almost age backwards. So someone who's a Capricorn, and that does, well, all the earth signs, but especially Capricorn, very long-lived. They almost become more youthful the older they get. So that's kind of interesting. And I think I mentioned and they also rule the whole skeleton system as well as the knees. Then Aquarius are water bearer, but remember that water is energy, air. This one, they're very, again, all the air signs, and notice that these are lined up. Earth signs, air signs, water signs, fire signs. And we're just going in the order, but that's the way they go. So Aquarius is, again, very fine features, can be very attractive. They're more excited about, you'll meet them at the club meeting, at some sort of team, something like that. They're really into group things. This Aquarius rules the ankles. And they tend to have wide eyes, but they're a little bit, remember, Aquarius has got that little bit kookiness to them. So even though they're attractive, there may be something like one eye is green and the other one is blue, things like that. They're very independent people. even though they love the group, they do love their independence also. So you'll get, and they can be, since they're so cool, they can be hard to get to be really, really close with too. And last but not least, of course, Pisces, whose big feet come in the room before they do. Remember, I tease, so don't get down on yourselves when I tease, or down on me because I tease you. Pisces, water, mutable, and remember those two fishes going in opposite directions. Sometimes they can be a little two-faced, and it's kind of the same way with Gemini too, that kind of double sign there. And it's not because they really want to be two-faced, and it's the same thing with Gemini. They just want to tell you what you want to hear. So they're really trying to please you, actually. Pisces is known for having these huge, big, liquid bedroom eyes. They're very ethereal, sensitive to their surroundings, artistic, musical, mystical. They can just float into a room and float back out. So that's why this guy's not even standing on any ground here. Pisces is our most magical. Okay. So I think I've taken up plenty of time here going over these 12 signs, and I'm not going to give you any homework besides just look over, maybe listen to this video again, keep working on your memorizing, or look at the last video was kind of short, so you can get those mechanics down. And next class, we'll get into doing more interpretation. All right, everybody, bye! Remember to like and subscribe. From there to here, from here to there. Funny things are everywhere. Hi, hi. Okay, bye-bye.